a lecturer in school education here, and when I decided to apply to be on Teachmeet tonight, I thought I'd better go for the 7-minute slot, because anyone who knows me knows that I'm somewhat like a restrained head of school and I can talk for Britain. So I'm going for the 7 minutes. But anyway, I want to talk about teaching mathematical concepts with through stories. It's an approach that's been available in the United States for quite some time, and I'm indebted to many of the American authors that I've read and looked at. But it's something that's really fairly new here in the United Kingdom. And before I go any further, I should say that last year when our American visitors were here, they left me this delightful gift, this little wallet and lanyard, and I keep my office key in it, which I wouldn't be able to use much longer because I wouldn't have an office, but still. I want you to see that this gift was valued, and I really enjoyed meeting you last year when you were here, although for a very short time. So I'll just move on, and I never tend not to use the doofer because I get too carried away and throw it away and things like that. So I'm just putting it through. Right, anyway, it turns out for our American visitors, if you don't know, the rest of you here will be sick-tired hearing about it. In Scotland, we're introducing a new national curriculum called the Curriculum for Excellence. And I am a maths tutor on the BEd degree, and I'm the person that's on the team because I'm the child that didn't get it. So I know all the dodges, I know all the things that children worry about when they're learning maths, and I make sure I tell my students that, because you can do it, but sometimes you need a little bit of support. Anyway, the areas of mathematics and curriculum for excellence are number, money and measure, shape, position and movement, information handling. But when the new experiences and outcomes were first published, I was scratching my head and thinking there's something missing, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And then I realised that the thing that was missing was problem solving was no longer mentioned as a discrete area of the curriculum. Now, unbeknownst to me, one of my colleagues here, Marion Ray, who, by the way, I'm sorry, sensory apologies, you can't be here tonight, was thinking along the same road, and it was a few months later that we discovered that we both had been looking at the same sort of thing. But problem solving now should be at the heart of all our learning and teaching, and it should be an ongoing thing within any maths class, but also there's an aspect in the new curriculum for excellence called numeracy across the curriculum. So all teachers are expected to teach literacy and numeracy, no matter what they teach, whether they're physics teachers or not. And actually, I kind of hope that physics teachers can count quite well, so which is why I didn't do physics. But anyway, so it turned out that Marion and I had both been thinking along the same lines. And the approach that I had been looking at, we were looking at two slightly different approaches. And I had been looking at the Queensland task, the new curriculum developments there, where they were advocating the use of what they called rich tasks. Now, rich tasks are tasks set in contexts that involve perhaps long-term problem solving. This problem solving, these tasks can last anything from 1 month to 3 years. They can last through the whole, 3 years of a child's school education. And in Curriculum for Excellence, it mentions quite a few times that teachers should be implementing rich tasks. And the beauty of it is that the rich task involves the process and the product. It involves problem solving. It involves children exploring ideas as they would in drama through being actively involved in a range of activities. So I was using the rich task framework to develop programmes of learning that would support mathematical thinking and the development of mathematical concepts. That definition I've given you there, however, comes from an excellent free resource. It's a very detailed booklet. I've got the web links at the end that you can download, and it's about 70 pages long of different problem-solving tasks. It's from Oxford University in that area. I think it's Oxford. So again, I would recommend going online and download that. I keep an electronic copy because I didn't want to print out 70 pages, but it's very handy. You can dip in and out. But within the new curriculum, for instance, and within all the things that we've been advised to do now, we're asked to implement, to support active learning. And I actually believe that teaching mathematical concepts through storytelling is one of the ways that we can do this. Now, tonight the examples I've chosen really to show you are based on picture books, but I also have links, and if you want them, you can email me. It can go right up the curriculum. You can go to upper primary and beyond. It's not just picture books, and it's not just for young children. You can teach mathematical concepts through stories, and actually some of the stories actually would be quite easy to act out. We also think that it actually does work with the Rich Task framework. Is the framework that was in use in Queensland. They've moved onwards slightly now, but I think it actually is still useful for us. If you prefer the Teaching for Understanding framework, which I know is very popular in the United States, David Perkins' work and the Project Zero people at Harvard advocate the use of generative topics, and some of you have been planning that in your integrated planners and third years, and you're probably sick tired of hearing about them, but they do work, and it's another framework that would work very well with teaching maths in this way. The other thing that this teaching maths with a story also fits with very well is the storyline approach. You know, that you could have the characters in the books representing characters in the storyline and moving things forward and solving problems. So what happens is the children work through a series of tasks that allow them to solve a problem, but this problem emerges from the story that you narrate to them or that they narrate on their own. So I brought along one of my favourite books, which is really a bit sad given my age, that one of my favourite books is a picture book with 3 little pigs, but never mind. And it's called 3 Pigs, 1 Wolf and 7 Magic Shapes, and it's a Scholastic publication. Scholastic, as a publisher, actually produce a broad range of mathematical storytelling books. And it is basically a version of the story of the 3 Little Pigs. Now, the book begins with the story, you know the story of the 3 little pigs, the house is blown down, etc., etc. And then it talks about 3 other little pigs. In a nearby village, 3 other little pigs were ready to seek their fortunes. They kissed their mama and papa goodbye and went their separate ways. So the 3 little pigs are going off to hither, thither and yonder. So they're setting off on a big adventure. And we have the story of the 3 little pigs. And the 7 magic shapes are, anybody tell me what they come from? 7 magic shapes, what does it make? Thank you, gentleman from North Lanarkshire. See, Dob's still the intelligent folk. He didn't get where he's got today without me. The 7 magic shapes are a tangram. And the little pig, we were in a conference together once. I mean, sitting beside each other. But the little pig, this little pig in the story saves his or her life and escapes from all sorts of trials, it's like the gingerbread boy, by using the 7 magic shapes. And the 7 magic shapes the pig makes into different shapes that help them overcome different trials. Now, it doesn't sound very exciting, but look at the different shapes. Think about the language you can get from children talking about these shapes. Think about asking them to create different things with it, and there are lots of websites with lots of different tangrams that children can create, and I've included some there, and actually the library has said they'll put some of my materials on the website as well. So, the little pig goes through the story, and as you tell the story, you're talking to the children, you're talking about the problems, you're talking about the shapes, you're talking about different artefacts that they can create to help the pig survive. And of course, at the end of the story, it does emerge that it's a little female pig, because everybody knows that girls are smarter than boys. I'm the mother of 3 sons, it's alright for me to say that. But, you know, as you're moving through the story, you encourage the children to talk about the shapes, you encourage them to make different shapes, to make different artefacts that the pig can use to save its bacon, if you excuse the pun. But that's kind of how it goes through. Now, there's a whole huge, broad range. This one, I chose this one because it's one of my favourites. and it's about shapes and tessellation. But you can have stories about the Fibonacci sequence. I know how much you all love that. There's stories about zero. There's stories, one of my other favourites is circumference. And the story of the round table and how they came to make the round table. And I can't remember, his son's name is Radius or something like that, but you get the idea. There's also a wonderful story, again, about the Fibonacci sequence. Rabbits everywhere. They, well, breed quite well. So, ideas. How do you explain to children what a million looks like? Well, that's one of the ways. Show them a story. Show them what's happening. Get them to talk about it. Get them to talk about the numbers. Get them to talk about why we have a zero. Why do we have a zero? In number systems, etc., etc. And another favourite one is that last one there, spaghetti and meatballs, which is about a family planning a special celebration. And again, it happens to be scholastic again, but that one takes into shape, it takes into account planning for something. It talks about the ingredients you need to create the food that's going to be eaten, the spaghetti and meatballs, and more people keep arriving, so they need to make more and more spaghetti and meatballs. They need to work out how many chairs and tables they're going to need. They need to work out how to fit everyone into the front yard, etc., etc. So you get the idea. Now, it can be tricky, particularly in the United Kingdom. Many of the books, both Marion and I have had to source ourselves from the United States. But if you are looking for something, these two writers here, David Withen and Sarah Wild, read Any Good Math lately. And it's a whole book about teaching maths with stories. It gives you ideas of the storybooks that you can use. It gives you ideas for the activities that you can do. And there's a second version that I've left outside. So, reason it's children's books for mathematical learning. It gives you ideas of the books that you can use. And another one that's actually very good in the United Kingdom is the murderous maths books. You know, you've got the horrible histories. You can also get murderous maths. And they're very good as well. So it's just to get you to think outside the box a little bit. You can use books to support these. And I noticed our dean was here and went out to bring in. The university has recently become a Confucius hub. So many schools are now looking at China in more detail. So why not use Grandfather Tang's story? Again, it's tangrams, but this time it's animals. And David, I'm sorry to tell you, I got this copy from the college library when it was being thrown out. Nobody wanted it, but I wanted it, and I've got 2 copies of this book. So, I'm just about finished. There you are. Books galore. Those, I've put on there a list of 4 websites where you can obtain lists, advice on the sort of text that you might use. And the website references are about the different ways of planning to use these resources, the Queensland ones, and Enrich Maths and the Harvard School. That's really all you need. You can, and again, Marion and I have worked through planning whole topic packs on using particular texts, but it does work, and schools that have used it have certainly found it very beneficial, and I know that HMIE, not that we should actually mention them, but they actually liked this approach and thought it was quite helpful. Thank you very much.